Is what you're teaching your child about money setting them up for success in their life? Listen in as I talk with Fleur Iannazzo about her book, The Money Pizza. Welcome to the Leadership Parenting Podcast, where I empower parents so they can empower their children. Like to empower others, subscribe to stay informed, and go to leadershipparenting.co.uk for more information.
Hi, Fleur. I'm so happy that you're doing this, that you wanted to have a chat and help me empower parents so that they can empower their children.
Yeah. Oh, great.
So you wrote a book.
Yes. I've written a book called The Money Pizza, and it's all about how you can be your own coach and change your behavior with money. And to give you a quick bit of background, I'm an ex-banker. I retrained in coaching and behavioral change, and now I help people change their behavior with money. And I have a daughter, she's 7 years old, and it's really interesting to have been working on this book and the work that I do, but also to see her growing up. Yeah.
So that means that you're the perfect expert to share about, because you are a parent, you have a child, and you have all that knowledge about behavior and about money mindsets and how to properly have a healthy relationship with money, but also maybe to talk about what you can do for your children to have that healthy relationship with money.
Yeah, and it's a really important topic, close to many parents' hearts. And if there's one thing I know, it's that you go to a busy, stressed parent and you say, well, look, I can help you parent with your money mindset. And they're like, no, I don't have enough time for that. But if you talk to parents and say, I can help you empower your children to have a better money mindset or better behaviors with money, then the parents are all like, yeah, sign me up any day.
Yeah, parents always want the best for their children.
Parents always want the best for their children. The reality of what I do the same thing.
Yes.
Because empowering your children and having better behaviors with money, one of the key ways of doing that is to make sure you're aware of how you yourself as a parent, you're behaving with money and where your money beliefs have come from and how you've picked them up and learned them, because that informs you better in how you can behave in a way that supports your children's development when it comes to behaviors.
Yeah, I think that goes for every area.
Yeah.
But we spoke about that before, and one of the things is that there are a lot of things that we assume that, oh, this is what they will learn in school. But both parenting and how to properly deal with money, at least as far as I can see in the average school, in the normal schools, those concepts aren't taught. We just everyone assumes that, well, everyone knows how to parent and everyone is dealing with money, but that doesn't mean that it's like a healthy habit. It's something that really works.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if you've come across the research about habits in general, but the Money and Advice Service, or Money and Pension Service, a number of years ago now, commissioned two Cambridge researchers to find out, by what age do children form their money habits. And it was astonishing because they found that habits were formed but not set in stone by the age of 7. And I'm sure that has parallels with other behaviors.
Yes,
so you could say general habits, but also money habits are formed by the age of 7. You think about that, and you think about the numeracy that children have. At the age of 7, it's very basic. You think about what they're learning at school.
Yes, indeed.
It's really basic. So it forces you to
So does
think.
that imply, because yes, in every area they say that the foundation for children, for how they interact with others, how they feel about themselves, the foundation is established in those first 7 years. But as you're saying, when they're 7, they're not doing the maths, they don't do statistics or whatever, and all those things that we assume that are necessary to be a banker or something.
Yeah.
So does that imply that the way children think and feel about money, the way they deal with money, doesn't have anything to do with how their math skills are?
It's related, but it's not 100% overlap. Being numerate is really important, but when we're talking about feelings about money or behaviors with money, we're talking about things like, what do we see our parents doing, or what do we not see them doing? So especially in this day and age of digital payments, what children are no longer seeing is they're no longer seeing parents going to the shop, handing over a note, or getting the milk, receiving the change.
Yes, indeed.
They see us go into the shop and tap a card.
Yep.
To get the milk. So that vision of exchange and that whole, I count my change to make sure I've got the right change, and I practice this in my head, or I count it back, or I write it down in my little notebook. Children aren't seeing that.
Yeah.
But also feelings about how money is spoken about or how it isn't spoken about. We do know that children notice a hell of a lot more than what we think they notice.
They do.
So when it comes to talking about money in the household, sometimes it's the flyaway comments that really, really stick. So
money doesn't grow on trees.
Money doesn't grow on trees. What do you think I am, made of money? Or I heard somebody, I'm constantly listening in on other people's money conversations.
Lovely.
I heard somebody at the supermarket say, you're going to have to ask your dad about that. He's the banker.
Oh, goodness.
And I'm like,
goodness. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's not something that you can still say in the 21st century, unless he's an actual banker. But
I knew the dad, he's the actual banker. Yeah. But then what that means is suddenly we are unconsciously forming these views that, okay, the banker makes the decision and the person who's not the banker just follows.
Precisely, yeah.
Or it could be gendered. The man who's the banker makes the decision. So children pick up all of these nuances because they're super smart and they're sponges and they observe and they and mimic. So this is why when I'm talking to parents about improving their children's mindset, and I'm sure you do this with the work that you do, the first port of call is, as a parent, how are we behaving ourselves? What are we saying?
Yes,
are we saying things like, oh my God, that's too expensive, or I don't think that's worth it, or hell, it's Friday, so let's splurge a bit, or I'll just put it on the card. These are all things, behaviors, feelings that children pick up about money.
Yeah.
So it
doesn't really, sorry to interrupt you, but it doesn't really mean that those phrases that we utter, that they are wrong, but it's important that you're conscious about it and whether it really is something that you want to say. I think that's one of the things that I do with my daughter, is that I ask her, do you think it's worth it? And then most of the time when it's something small and she's like, oh, this looks like fun, she and I ask her, oh, do you think it's worth it? If I'm paying, she thinks it's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
If she has to pay it from her own pocket money, suddenly she's like, you know what, I can do without. So there's a whole different level, but I feel that it's important to have that conversation.
Yeah. It's important to have that conversation. And getting back to your question about numeracy and behavior with money, it's not all about the numbers. And whilst it's important that children are numerate, I'm also very aware that there are many people who have dyscalculia, and they're still fabulous business people. And somehow they've gotten over the fact or their difficulties with money and holding numbers. Sorry, they've gotten over their difficulties with holding numbers in their brains and being able to manipulate numbers, but they can still make good decisions about money.
Yes.
And I think, like, you hit on the key with getting your daughter to identify with how much it's worth to her when it's her money. So when I'm talking to parents about how can you empower your children, I tell them, I'm a coach. I encourage them. I encourage them instead to give their children opportunities to make decisions and make mistakes, because children
will learn from those mistakes,
and to learn from those mistakes, and to not rush in and rescue. And so the next question is, but what if they make £100 mistake? Like, well, let's think about it this way. You, as the parent, you're giving them the choice and the ability to learn from mistakes. They are in control of the choice. You are in control of the money. So if you give them £5 to make their own choices, including to purchase chips or to spend money on some plastic tap that you don't like, that's their £5. That's their choice. But you, as the parent, you're in control of that amount of money. So you give them £5, you've got to let them make a £5 mistake. You give them £100, you've got to let them make a £100 mistake. So that is where you as a parent can exercise the responsibility and the safe boundaries for the children to be able to make their own decisions and make their own mistakes. And if it means that they spend it all at once and then they have to wait a week, a month, whatever the agreed period is, until they get their next pocket money or opportunity to earn some chore money, that is their thing that they need to suffer. They suffer 1 week, they will learn.
Yes, they will. And you're adding something very important, I think, is that the exercise doesn't start at the moment that you give that money, but the exercise starts before that, because you're prepping your child to be able to make those decisions, to have that responsibility, to be able to make those mistakes, and also to create those agreements of, okay, so that is, if you spend everything, or doesn't matter what you do, but the next time will be in this many weeks or this many days. And then as a parent, you also have the responsibility to, after the event, to reflect on it, and not just when a mistake has been made, but also with checking in. Okay, how do you feel? How are you happy with the results? Or to because learning isn't, well, we learn best when we make mistakes. That has to be said. But I think that's also because very often we only reflect on what we've done when we have made a mistake.
Yeah.
So parents can empower their children, but by giving them money and allowing them that decision. But yeah, the job doesn't end just there.
Yeah, it doesn't end there. And I mean, what I love about giving kids the opportunity to make their own choices and to make mistakes, and to make good choices as well, is you can have a conversation about it. So it's not just, here's your £5, I don't want to know what you do with it.
Yeah.
It is, here's your £5, you understand that this needs to last you for a week. We've agreed that this is what you're going to spend your money on. These are the parameters, I mean, around which you can spend your money, for example, things that you want. But as parents, you make those age-appropriate decisions. Perhaps as somebody gets older, as a child gets older, you want to be enabling them to perhaps leave home and make independent financial decisions.
Yes.
And it's important that we transition them and that we let them practice those financial increasing responsibilities.
Yes.
As they get to the point of perhaps leaving home. And this is a really tricky balance for parents to manage, because as children get towards the end of their schooling, whether they want to leave after GCSEs or if they want to go to A levels, at the point in time at which they're thinking about leaving home, it also coincides with probably a really, really stressful time of their academic lives. Yes. So as parents, where they're going, we don't want to put any more stress on our kids and give them any more decisions that they have to make. We want to keep them safe. Yeah. But these could be the formative years before they leave home.
Yes. Even when they are teenagers, it's still let's call it the playground where they can practice what they will apply later on when they're on their own.
Yeah. So how can you enable them to practice making decisions about, for example, budgeting for meals without forcing a responsibility of, well, not only are you studying for your A levels, but you've got to cook your own meals. How can you incorporate that kind of practice decision making and choice in a way that doesn't add too much stress? And for each child, it'll be different things.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So if there are parents right now that are like, "Oh, I hear a lot of things that trigger me," either my clients tend to be parents with younger children in primary school age, but then there are plenty of parents who have children in secondary already, and maybe a combination. So if they want to reach you, where can they find you?
They can find me on my website, and it's www.wtf-money.com. That's a big mouthful, and it does mean what the rhymes with duck starts with F. It does mean that, because I'm all about having like easy, open money conversations, but it's perhaps not safe for children. I work with adults.
Yes.
Or people can find me on LinkedIn, and I've written my book. It's called The Money Pizza, and it's available on Amazon. Or if you're really clever and you get in touch with me personally, you can get a signed copy from me. But don't ask about the website, because I haven't set it up yet.
No, but nowadays, I mean, we can find you, and Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm sure that we'll talk later. We'll talk more and during the year, because this is just an area where there's so much to explore as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for what you've shared already, and hope to speak to you soon.
Brilliant. Thank you.
You can get Fleur's book, The Money Pizza, on Amazon. Find the link and her website in the description. And of course, like and subscribe to get notified of new items.